We're going to look at one more example, going through a full one proportion hypothesis test. This example says in a Rasmussen poll of 1,000 American adults in July of 2012, 480 of those polls said that schools should keep selling soft drinks on their campuses. We want to perform a hypothesis test using a level of significance of 0.05 to see if less than 50% of adults support schools to keep selling soft drinks on their campuses. My first step is going to be to state my hypotheses, my HO and my HA. HO for one proportion has the form P equals, we have some baseline to compare to. We're going to assume that P is equal to 0.50 or 50% based off of this statement here. That 50% of adults want to ban soft drinks from being sold on school campuses, and 50% of adults support keeping soft drinks on campuses. The alternative is what we claim, that it's less than 50% of adults. So that wording gives away that this should be P is less than 0.50. Again, the null is always equal to. The alternative could be less than, greater than, or not equal to. Next up, I need to check the central limit theorem. I want to know, can I say that we have a random sample? We generally assume that polls are random. By definition, a poll should be a random sample. So I'm going to say that is met. Anytime I have a poll, I'm going to assume that it's random automatically. My N times P, my expected number of successes, is going to be 1,000 as my sample size times 0.50 as my P. Over here on my calculator, 1,000 times 0.5 gives me 500. N times 1 minus P, therefore, must also be 500 because these two have to add to be the sample size of 1,000. Because they're both over 10, say this is met. And what this should mean is that my sampling distribution is normal. I would expect my P of 0.50 to be in the middle. But not all my samples are going to be exactly 50% supporting schools to keep selling soft drinks on their campuses. Some could be a little bit below, some could be a little bit above. I want to see, well, where does my sample fall on this normal curve? And is it far enough below 0.50? Is it far enough less than 0.50 to make me question this 0.50 as the actual population proportion? So to get my statistics, I'm going to go to stats, tests, number 5. PO should be 0.50. X, my actual number of successes, is 480. 480 said, yes, I support schools and their right to keep selling soft drinks on their campuses. In the sample size was out of 1,000, and I'm going to select the less than symbol this time based off of my alternative. When I calculate this, I can see the 3 values that I need right up at the top. My z-score is negative 1.26, and it's okay to have a negative z-score. It just means it's below the mean. It's not an outlier. It's not unusual because it's not 2 or above out here. My p-value, which I'm going to need for my final step, is 0.1030. If I round to 4 places, this 5 rounds the 29 up to a 30. And my p-hat is 0.48. So my sample falls down here. It's not exactly 50%. It's not way down the line. It's not in the outlier section. And the p-value is this probability. It's this area here. So this is 0.1030. So there's about a 10% chance that I could get a sample of 48% or lower. So I do see that 48% is less than 50%, but is it convincing enough for me to reject the idea that it's 50% and conclude that proportion is less than 50%? In order to see, I compare my p-value to my alpha, my significance level. In this case, my p-value is 0.1030. And my alpha, my level of significance, is 0.05. 0.10 is greater than 0.05. It's like 10% compared to 5%. When the p-value is greater than alpha, we say that we do not reject HO. HO is assumed to be true until we can prove otherwise. So I'm not rejecting that. That means I'm keeping this idea. There's not enough to throw this out. That means I'm not going with this alternative idea. I would say the data are not statistically significant. To conclude, less than 50%. Support schools selling soft drinks. Because this p-value is greater than my alpha, I'm not going to reject this 0.50 as the population proportion. I don't have enough evidence to say that it is less than 0.50.